Michigan's primary is on Tuesday, August 2nd, and today we are on your side with everything you need to know before going to the polls.
The winner of each party's race will then move on to the November general election. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kirk Montgomery.
And I'm Val Lego. One of the key races this midterm election is the race for Michigan governor.
A handful of Republicans are vying for their spot to run against incumbent Democrat Gretchen Whitmer.
The 5 GOP candidates for governor include Garrett Soldano, Ralph Rebrandt, Kevin Rinke, Tudor Dixon, and Ryan Kelly. Throughout the last few weeks, we sat down with all 5 of these candidates to talk with them about why they should be Michigan's next governor. Tudor Dixon made a name for herself as a leader in Michigan's steel industry in the early 2000s. She's also a conservative media personality on the Real America's Voice cable network. Dixon is focused on reforming education in the state by making parents more involved in their children's education and expanding school choice options.
Kevin Rinke owned and operated several car dealerships in the Detroit area before working with an organization that provided rehabilitation for individuals with traumatic brain injuries. Rinke more recently worked with a Michigan-based company that provides autism therapy. Rinke wants to create a better business climate for Michiganders and is in favor of completely eliminating Michigan's personal income tax. Ryan Kelly is a real estate broker and a small business owner who recently served on the Allendale Township Planning Commission. Kelly launched his campaign after being a conservative activist and leading anti-lockdown rallies in Michigan during the pandemic. Kelly is focused on protecting individual rights and freedoms granted to them in the U.S. Constitution.
Ralph Rebrandt is the lead pastor of a community church in Oakland County and is chaplain for the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police and several other police departments in the county. Rebrandt is campaigning on changing the culture in the state and bringing back Judeo-Christian principles to the state of Michigan. And finally, there's Garrett Soldano. He is the owner and operator of a chiropractic center in Kalamazoo. He's also an author and former football player from Western Michigan University. Soldano is focused on creating an attractive business climate in Michigan that will bring businesses back to the state and provide high-paying jobs for Michiganders. We spoke to the candidates one-on-one and asked where they stood on a variety of issues. You can watch those interviews right now on 13onyourside.com.
Now, a lawmaker that you may have voted for in the past could be running again, but may no longer show up on your ballot.
It's all because of redistricting. Based on 2020 census numbers, Michigan's population decreased, so the state lost a congressional district.
So that led to the district lines being changed dramatically. Now, here is a look at the old and the new side by side. It's a significant change because it can affect the political makeup of the districts. So here's what those changes mean. Lawmakers could now represent parts of the state they didn't before. An example, the 3rd district. Incumbent Peter Meyer is running against John Gibbs. It's a race that's getting a lot of attention nationally. The district now extends west from Grand Rapids and includes Muskegon, Grand Haven, and other lakeshore communities.
And some of the area previously represented by Meyer is now part of the 2nd congressional district, a large area now including Greenville and Lowell. You can see the changes on your screen. Republican John Molinar is hoping to defeat Thomas Norton. Molinar used to represent the Midland area.
There are 5 candidates running for the 82nd district representation in the state legislature. It is a 2-year term representing Kent County. There are 3 Democrats on the ballot: Salim Mohammed Al-Shatal, Kristen Grant, and Kent County Commissioner Robert Womack. On the Republican side, William Alexander is challenging Ryan Malinowski.
And there are also a handful of millages and local tax issues on the ballot.
Voters in Kent County will see the Veterans Services millage. 13 on your side's Justin Bachman shows us how much the proposal will increase taxes.
Has enabled the county to really think outside the box in terms of other programs and services that are available to veterans, specifically with respect to suicide prevention, veterans mental health, food insecurity, and especially female veterans.
Navy veteran Paul Ryan doesn't live in Kent County, but wants to fight for vets who do. He believes the millage is a no-brainer, especially since the impact has been felt for nearly a decade.
Because of the millage, the number of trained and accredited veteran service officers has increased in the county, and that has resulted in literally millions of dollars recovered in veterans benefits for Kent County veterans.
Ryan says veterans require the assistance of trained counselors to get the resources they need. Without the millage passing, he says access for thousands of those veterans would vanish.
If the millage doesn't pass, then a lot of the partnerships that have been funded by grants from Kent County Veteran Services will go away. The Kent County Veterans Treatment Court will be severely negatively impacted by that.
Why can't you just take that out of the budget that already exists? If veterans are truly that high of a priority, pay for it out of the budget instead of putting it at the hands of the people. Just do it.
Pete Lund with the group Michigan Tax Fighters feels voters should be hesitant with any millage. Both Lund and Ryan agree veteran services should be funded. Where that funding comes from, they don't see eye to eye.
Let's just fund it out of the general fund budget of the county and not put it before the people and not raise the people's taxes again.
But that's an indirect approval or not. I personally like millages because it goes directly to the people.
Now, before heading to the polls, check to make sure you know where your voting site is. Voters in Grand Rapids' 64th Precinct on the southeast side of the city now have a new polling center. You will now need to go to the Gerald R. Ford Academic Center on Madison Avenue to vote on Tuesday. Building issues forced the city to move the voting location from First Christian Reformed Church. Now, the two locations are about a half-mile apart, but there will be signs posted for the new Precinct 64 location.
And in Ada Township, voters are being asked to renew a public safety millage that expired last year while also approving an increase. The combined 1.4 mil proposal would last for 5 years. It would help pay for additional coverage by the Kent County Sheriff's Department. Money would also go toward a new fire truck, future equipment, and advanced medical training for firefighters.
As our firefighters are often the first guys on the scene, both with respect to a fire, a traffic accident, a medical call, or even if we have a tree fall down in the road. And what we want to do is additional training so that each firefighter that responds to something has EMT training and is able to provide medical services right when they get there.
The supervisor says the township has received an increased number of calls to the sheriff and fire departments, and he says additional coverage will help reduce response times. And in Kentwood, voters will decide on whether to approve a permanent dedicated millage for park services. Money raised would go toward improving trails and parks and building a new recreation center to create a public gathering space around City Hall. The mayor of Kentwood says residents and city leaders work together to come up with a vision for the future.
And so this is really a resident involved, a resident started program where we looked at, okay, what's really important to the citizens and what can we do now that people will enjoy it in the next 50 years. And immediately people talked about our common spaces, our parks, our trails.
If approved, the new millage would take effect July 1st of next year. The city says park and trail improvements would be the first priority. Construction of the rec center would begin in 2024.
Also on the ballot in Kent County, a renewal for a senior millage. It's been in place since 1999. Money from the millage helps pay for dozens of services like home-delivered meals, transportation, and in-home care such as bathing services. Right now, the programs help 22,000 seniors in Kent County.
So this millage started in 1999. It's evolved over time that we've increased our partner network, we've increased the number of services, and we've greatly increased the amount of funding that we are able to collect for this millage to provide services for older adults. In 2014, it was voted on at $500,000, and we are asking for a continuation of that, no increase.
Now, to qualify for services, seniors have to be 60 years of age and older. There may also be a copay depending on your income.
In Oceana County, there is a millage on the ballot to help pay for a new jail. Sheriff Craig Mast gave us a tour of the current 60-bed facility, which he says is severely outdated. Mast says the jail doesn't have enough space for things like mental health and schooling. He also says there are air quality concerns that need to be addressed.
One of the big things that we really become to notice is the airflow in this building. We've got a few rooftop units from the 90s and then from a little bit newer, but there's no air circulation in this facility. So we had an air quality study done, and they found out that we have high CO2 levels and low oxygen levels back here.
If approved, the millage increase would allow the county to build a jail more than double the current size. Well, Muskegon's Central Dispatch is requesting a renewal to a current millage that funds operations for the county's Central Dispatch.
Now, voting yes will renew the millage for 7 years with no increase in taxes. This will provide funding for the different operations of the 911 Central Dispatched. If passed, the millage will be levied from December 2023 through December of 2029.
And Muskegon County is very fortunate to have great 911 professionals, and that would allow us to continue providing that service. With the surcharge, we were provided great technology, but that technology doesn't really mean a whole lot without great people to run it.
The Muskegon County Central Dispatch employs several dozen people. Funds from the millage will go to pay for the operation costs of that dispatch. And there are many more issues on local ballots. You can go to your county clerk's site to look at all of those.
And you can count on 13 on your side for continuing coverage on election night. We have multiple crews with candidates. Our team will be gathering results as they come in, and we will have expert analysis looking forward to November.
You can also watch for results on 13onyourside.com or by downloading our app. Thank you so much for watching.